All right, Brian. So we talked about student loans. That's one that a lot of people face. That's something that a lot of people navigate. Let's talk about the next one, because I think, again, every American is faced with this decision. I need transportation. How do I think about buying a car?
Yeah, I like to talk about this in terms of this is broke quicksand, because you get into this and then you can't get yourself out, and it ends up just suffocating your entire financial life.
And unfortunately, most folks are really bad at this. They're really awful at doing this consumption decision.
Well, you have to take control of your financial life, because unfortunately, most people are caught into the emotional of what's going to feel good in this moment. So they choose temporary happiness, meaning that, yes, for the auto industry has set it up that if I'm willing to finance the car for forever, essentially, even roll in negative equity, we'll cover that in a little bit more, I can afford this thing that I perceive will make my life better, will impress my neighbors, but that's temporary happiness. Because I can go ahead and tell you, I've been on this journey before, and I've seen it for other people. The new car smell wears off after just a few months.
Yep.
The payment keeps coming, but that car gets a little curb rash on all those rims that you have. You start seeing a ding on the side, and before you know it, you're kind of really mad that you got yourself in this pickle of a situation. I don't want you to fall into that temporary trap. I want you to think more perpetual. If you can think deferred gratification, if you can think discipline like a financial mutant, there is a better way.
So let's talk about how bad the average American is. When you look at the behavior of the typical American, the average monthly car payment right now is $735 a month.
And there's a lot of people that have $1,000. That's disgusting. $735.
Unbelievable. And then not only that, when you look at the average loan term, it is over 67 months. So we are borrowing money for cars for over 5 years.
Almost twice what we like, which is 36 months.
That's exactly right. Then when you look at the interest rate, the average interest rate on auto loans right now, 7.18%. And when you look at the average loan amount, the amount of money people are borrowing for an automobile, it is over $40,000. This is what the average American is doing. But Brian, it's even a little bit worse than this.
Yeah, wait, there's more, because that $40,000 number on new cars unfortunately contains over $5,000 of negative equity, meaning that this, when I talk about perpetual, these people are making perpetual car payments, meaning that you go and you make one bad decision with this car, and then you drive it, it depreciates, and then you realize, I don't like this car anymore, but you didn't pay it off. You roll the negative equity, meaning you still owe money on this car, into the next bad decision. You see how you're going deeper and deeper. Remember when I was talking about that this was broke quicksand? This is proof that this is what the typical American is failing on right now.
But we believe there's a better way to do money. And so when it comes to buying cars, obviously, cash is king. If you can pay cash for your automobile, that is the best scenario. That's the best outcome. But unfortunately, not everyone is in a situation where they can do that, or you might not be at the stage of your financial journey.
That's me. I fell into that.
Where paying for cash is a realistic opportunity. So we came up with a solution. We came up with a rule that if you cannot pay cash for your car, if you can follow this rule, it will make sure you don't fall into that average American trap.
So let's talk about what 23/8 is. Remember, this is because cars depreciate rapidly. We want to make sure you put down at least 20% on the vehicle, because we know these cars depreciate rapidly, and we want to make sure you pay it off pretty quickly. Also, to keep you from getting big eyes and trying to impress your neighbors, we have to give you a payoff period of 3 years. This is going to make the payments big enough and sting enough that you'll actually keep yourself pretty honest on this. And then we don't want your car payment to exceed 8% of your gross income. And remember, this is for affordable transportation to get to your first wealth builder, which is your job. This is not to buy a luxury vehicle. If you start thinking about anything that's European or luxury or has like BMW in the name, I want you thinking, pay this thing off same as cash. This is not a 23/8 purchase.
So you may be sitting there thinking, okay, guys, yeah, paying cash, that sounds great, but that's not what successful people do. That's not what millionaires do. We actually do an annual survey of our clients, and we say, okay, tell us this. When you go to buy a car, do you finance it or do you pay cash? And when we look at it, millionaires right now, only 35% of them finance cars. That means that the remainder, the other 65%, are paying cash. They say, okay, well, This is a rich person's game. That's just what wealthy, successful people do. However, we flip the script and we ask this question of our current millionaire clients. Hey, when you started out on your financial journey, when you first began, when you bought your very first car, how'd you pay for it? Of our millionaires, 71% of them said, hey, in the beginning stages, I had to finance. I had to borrow money. I could not come up with the cash. So if you find yourself in the situation where you are having to borrow money or are having to finance, it's okay. You're not alone. A lot of people are there today, and a lot of people have been there, but you want to make sure that you have an accurate representation of how to do it the right way, even if you are going to finance.
So let me go ahead and give you a head start on this whole wealth building journey and how to avoid this quicksand and the case that we've laid out. I want you to go to moneyguy.com/resources and look at how much car can I afford. Don't just start test driving and going to dealerships. These guys are masterful at the emotional manipulation of telling you, because they're going to say, hey, what do you want your monthly car payments to be?
That's the number one question they're going to ask.
So let's go ahead and get out in front of this. Go to moneyguy.com/resources. Figure out how much car you can afford so you're actually on the front end of this versus being manipulated into a bad consumption decision.
Okay, so now let's look at our two individuals. Let's look at our case study that we're comparing. We're comparing Average Alan and Manny the Mutant. Average Alan goes and finances the average American amount of car debt, $40,000, finances a brand new car for $40,634. Manny, on the other hand, buys used. He follows 23.8, and so based on the average American income, Manny knows that he can buy a car that's worth $17,972. That's how much he can finance. Average Alan is going to do it over 68 months. So that means that Average Alan's payment is going to be $735 a month. Manny recognizes that 23.8 will keep him inside the guardrail, so he finances for 36 months. His monthly payment is $399 a month, which leaves some margin to where while he's paying off his car, he can still be investing $336 a month.
This is the part. Now, hear me out, financial mutants. This is the part where you're going to feel a little different, because outside looking in, Alan's going to look like the successful one, because he's going to be driving the fancy new car. You're going to be driving the used car that's right around $20,000. From the outside looking in, you have to realize you get joy out of driving a paid off car and knowing that your wealth sits on your net worth statement, that your money is going to work harder than you can with your back, your brains, and your hand. In the future, you've got to work on this, but because that's why we try to educate you, because in the temporary moment, it's going to feel better to be Alan, but I'm telling you, in the long term, watch what this happens. This is what empowers us financial mutants.
Alan, because he's doing what the average American does, he has no margin for saving and investing. So he's going to have all of his discretionary capital going towards his automobile. But Manny, after he gets his car paid off in 3 years, he's going to keep investing. He was already investing some. He's going to begin investing $735 a month. So when we do the progress report, we look at the report card, let's see how this looks. After 68 months, guess what? They both have paid for cars. Alan did pay off the car. It just took him longer. They both have paid for cars, but that's only part of the story. Alan has $0 invested. Remember, everything went into that automobile. But Manny, because he was disciplined, after the 68 months, because he was saving the whole time, now has almost $43,000 working for him, in addition to a paid off automobile.
Do you see how, I mean, this is so interesting to me. Yeah, it's the same sum of money. Once again, same sum of money. There's nothing different except one looked fancier because he got the new car. The other one is driving around the used car. And you look at the results of this and you're like, yeah, okay, Manny's got $43,000, likely in a Roth IRA, because that's one of the early steps that you're going to start saving and investing in that tax-free growth Roth IRA. But Alan's got the cool car. But what's interesting, when we get 68 months in the future, that brand new car is going to look a lot like Manny's used car. It's going to look like a used car. It's going to have the blemishes and everything else. So let's now see the rest of the story, because we already see $43,000 is nothing to just throw away. That's a chunk of money. And then if you put that money to work, it actually has the potential to grow into that $43,000, letting it grow for another 35 years, turns it into $700,000. And by the way, we didn't get crazy with the assumptions here. We used 8%. And we could have done $1,000 car payments, because there's a lot of people on YouTube or TikTok telling you about their $1,000 car payments and they're so proud of it. Guys, literally, this one decision was close to 7 figures. This is your retirement that you're riding around in.
The question you have to ask is, when you make these consumption decisions, when you go to buy that car, I want you to actually physically think to yourself, is this decision I'm making worth $750,000? Am I willing to rob my future self of nearly 7 figures of wealth so that I can look cool today and drive this fancy car around today? We hope that you will fall into the Manny the Mutant camp and not be like Average Alan.